there. Welcome to the podcast. It's a solo episode. It's been quite a while since it's been just me and you. And today I'm going to break down my top professional development for social media managers in 2024. I'm going to be sharing 6 podcast episodes that you might want to go back and listen to. I'm going to share 5 of our best trainings that happened inside our membership group. And I'm going to share 4 blogs. So we got 654. 321 is, hey, it's the end of the school year or the end of the year. 2025 is just around the corner, and we will be launching our newest survey to find out how schools are using social media. So be on the lookout. That'll be coming out to all of our newsletter subscribers in the month of January. And we'll be assembling that, and we'll probably be back on this podcast to talk about the results. I think it's always really interesting to know what schools are doing. And this is one of the ways that we like to give back and learn what we should talk about on these podcasts. So I'm very, very excited about that. Let's get into this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip, it is the end of the year, end of 2024. And there's a lot of, things wrapping up with, hey, the top 10 songs, the top 100 songs of the year. I just got my Spotify playlist, right? And found out the top artists. I got a personal message from Taylor Swift because I was in her top 3% of listeners. So I feel pretty cool for that. But when it comes to social media, one thing that you could do if you wanted to, especially on your Facebook page, is let people know how many people you reached in the year 2024 with your school's Facebook page. So if you just go into your Meta Business Suite and get into Insights, you can actually change the timeline and go to this whole year and look at how many people you reached, not how many views you had, okay? We want how many people you reached because that's going to be different people that saw at least one post from your school throughout the year. Okay. So I've got an example in the show notes of what Hibbing shared back in January of 2023. They shared how many people they had reached in 2022. That handy dandy little template is actually available in our membership group. So if you are in our membership group, look for that. But otherwise, you can make something up like that in Canva or whatever you choose to do. But it's worth celebrating. That's a big, big number. And you can thank your followers for all the likes and the comments and the shares, and stay tuned for, more great things happening this school year. So just a little tip for you as we near the 2025 turn. You could definitely celebrate how many people you reached throughout the year. Now let's get into this week's podcast episode with yours truly. All right, guys, it's me and you, and we are going to talk about some of the best professional development for school social media managers this year out of the Social School for EDU camp. Okay, there's lots of others out there. Of course, I have devoted the last decade, a little more, to helping schools like yours celebrate what's happening on social media. And this year was no different. Like we shared a lot of resources, but I want to start out first of all. What a year. Okay. It was a lot. It was a lot with an election year, right? I know many of you had to go ask voters for money. There's a lot of changes happening with social media platforms. There's tons of changes happening with AI and artificial intelligence and how that's incorporating into our roles. But I'm telling you, with all of the changes that are going to continue to happen in our roles as school communicators, everyday storytelling of what's actually happening at your school, that's what matters the most. It's truly what it's all about. Authentic sharing of what's happening in your schools with the people that aren't in your schools, right? With the parents, you're even sharing with other staff members, you're sharing with the students, you're sharing with the community members and their extended families out beyond the community. It's such an amazing tool, and it's still free. It's amazing. So, when it comes down to it, and as you look in to 2024, if you're like me and you're like most school communicators, we are kind of perfectionists. We always want to be improving. We always want to do better, and that's great. But at the end of the day, the real stories that matter are the ones that are happening in and out of the classrooms with our schools. And so we just need to be able to tell those. Sometimes that's with a simple picture and a very simple caption. Sometimes it might be with some type of a cool little trending reel or video. Okay. But I think many cases we can get so overwhelmed with trying to keep up with the best accounts that are out there that we can get really stuck and really overwhelmed, and it can almost pause us into not doing anything. And that everyday storytelling really matters. So that is my first message. If you hang up or stop listening to the podcast just after that, that's great. That's a good message. But you're not going to want to miss, because I want to share some of the top things that we shared from Social School for EDU this year that you might have missed, and you might want to go back and listen or read or watch. Okay. So first of all, since you're listening to podcasts, I figure you like podcasts. Okay. So the first episode that I want to encourage you to listen to is episode 221. Brian, my friend Brian, he's the director of communications and public relations at Lake Hamilton School District in Arkansas. We recorded an interview on your back to school communication checklist. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's only for back to school, but I want to tell you why you should listen to this episode. Brian has a really innovative system for gathering content that led to over 2,000 submissions back in the 23-24 school year. Okay. There's a big magic of QR codes, right? QR codes are back, and Brian talks all about it. He also shares a lot of other resources that are worth digging into, you guys. So I really want to encourage you, if you missed that episode, don't write it off and think, oh, it's only for back to school, because it's not. And Brian has been in the business for a long time. He's very successful. He's telling great stories, and he's got some really good systems. So I want you to listen to episode 221. And by the way, if you head over to my website and you go to socialschoolforedu.com, you can click on podcasts and go to episodes, and you could just type in 221. Okay. Also, if you are on the podcast episodes, it's socialschoolforedu.com/podcast/221. Okay. So just so you know, that'll take you right to his episode. All right. So that's the first podcast. The second podcast, episode 205 with my friend Alice Seifert. She is the director of communications for Matamidi Public Schools in Minnesota. Alice is helping me raise my social media storytelling game, and you are not going to want to miss her episode on using your district's strategic plan for powerful social media storytelling. Okay. Many of you love the RPI process, right? And we love to really dig in to that unique messaging, the research behind why we want to tell these stories. This is a great episode. Alice is going to share her system of storytelling and how she has went from being really overwhelmed to being able to consistently share at least 2 stories a day. Right now, she's sharing about 1 reel a week, and she's doing some powerful things. Their reach on their social media pages has just catapulted. And one of the best things she said in that whole episode was, good stories don't expire. Good stories don't expire. We are in this game of, oh my gosh, we got to be the first to share it. And we got to hurry up and get it out there. Good stories don't expire. And I love that advice. So don't worry if it takes you a little bit to put something together. If you hear something after the fact, you can still tell it. Okay. Also, she shared, you guys, so many resources in the show notes in this episode 205. Okay. Staff newsletters, staff thank you Canva template, student generated content, and more. So she's got a ton of resources. And if you take a look at the Matamidi social media accounts, you're going to be impressed. And then you're going to want to hang out with Alice. You can hang out with Alice on episode 205. Okay. Now, next podcast episode, the third one I want to refer you to is episode 226 with Jake Sturgis. He is the CEO and founder of Captivate Media and Consulting right out of Minnesota. Great friend of mine, and he's a gifted videographer, business. I mean, he has a business that serves schools all over. But we talked about outsmarting the algorithm with your social videos. Okay. And we did a webinar on this back in June of 2024, still very relevant right now. But it actually includes a new video checklist. So it's a 6-part checklist to help plan for your next project. And I think it's really important because we have to think about how our videos are going to be used once we make them so that we make sure that we're formatting them the right way, that we're getting the right pieces together. And you're going to discover the most important element in your video to capture more views. So that is a great episode. If you didn't listen to episode 226, you're going to want to go back and listen to it. Lucky for you, there is a link in there that you can rewatch the webinar that Jake and I did back in 2024. So that's episode 226. Okay. All right. We're cruising along. Fourth podcast I want to mention is episode 206. Samantha Peterson. Samantha is the public relations specialist for the school district of West Salem in Wisconsin. And Samantha her title of her podcast episode was How to Ignite Social Media Engagement with Students, Staff, and Your Community. Wouldn't you like to do that? And Sam is doing it. Okay. Samantha is, we saw what she was doing on her pages and we reached out and said, oh my gosh, can you be on our podcast? They just have 1,800 students, one campus, but they have a huge reach with their social media. And this episode is full of ideas, videos, post ideas, all of that. I don't want you to miss this episode. Please make sure you download episode 206 and listen to that because you're going to love it. Okay. Fifth, episode 210 with Janice and Emma. Janice Dimitri is the Community Engagement and Public Relations Coordinator at Middle Bucks Institute of Technology in Pennsylvania, MBIT. And Emma is one of her students. She's a student intern. And so the title of the episode is Lose the Fear. Use the power of social media with student interns. Okay. The reason why you need to listen to this episode is because we don't have enough time. We're overwhelmed with social media. I am too. But when you get students involved, they have the know-how, they have the creativity to be able to help you with your social media content. You're going to get to hear directly from Janice's intern, Emma, and talk about the system that they use at their school district. So please, if you are like trying to scratch your head and you're like, I want to add students, but I'm just not sure how, listen to episode 210, socialschool4edu.com/podcast/210, 210. Okay. And you're going to learn a lot from them. And then finally, episode 223 is with Kate Brown. She's the Director of Marketing and Communications at Waterford Union High School and Waterford Graded School District in Wisconsin. And her title of her episode is Yes, Branding and Social Media Can Have an Impact on Your District. Okay, this is just an awesome conversation. Kate is a very gifted school communicator. She's done amazing things in this school district. We're going to talk about LinkedIn in that episode and the importance of branding. And we dive into a lot more than that. So episode 223 is another must listen. So again, just quickly recapping, you're going to listen to episode 221, great on getting content. Episode 205, so many resources shared in that one, you guys. Episode 226 on video. Episode 206, okay, on really how to ignite that engagement. Episode 210 on student interns, and episode 223 on branding and the impact social media can make. All right, so I love all my episodes. I mean, hopefully you're loving this one, just with me and you hanging out today. But you can definitely go back and listen to those and more. Maybe you want to do some binge listening while you're cleaning up from the holidays or before you head back to work in the new year. Second thing I want to cover is our top trainings that are happening in our membership group. So this is a paid community. That we have about 450 school districts from across the country that have access to our membership group. Constant ideas, challenges, trainings. We have done over 30 live trainings in that group this year. Okay, over 30. And we record them all. So that's really cool. So if you listen, I'm going to share 5 of my top trainings from this year here, and there's lots more. But if you join the membership group, you get instant access to all the stuff I'm going to talk about. Okay. So it's not like you only get from when you start to going forward. No, you get access to everything we've done in that membership group. And this group has been around for like 5 years. So we have a lot of really helpful resources in there. And then, of course, we're staying up to date on what's changing and what's happening in the world around us with social media. So the first training that I want to highlight is our Communication Cafe tips, tricks, and takeaways. This was with the Chesapeake Public Schools team in Virginia. It was awesome. They spoke at the NSPRA conference last year in Seattle in the summer. And this one got really big reviews like, hey, this was awesome. So, so helpful. So we asked them to come in to our membership group to speak. And there are so many ready to use resources. We're talking crisis communication, like promotion, like event promotion plan, social media templates, training resources, and newsletters. They talk about it all. And so it's much more than just social media. And that's a thing in our membership group. We talk more than just social media. So that probably is worth the price of admission right there for the membership group. But for all you members that are listening, if you haven't watched Communication Cafe, make sure you check that out. Okay. You can go into our resources and just type in Communication Cafe and it'll pop right up for you and you can look at that training. Okay. And then again, link to all of the resources. It's just a ton. And not meant to overwhelm you, but you're probably going to look at it and be like, oh, I really want to take my newsletter to the next level. Or, oh, crisis communication, we're going to take a look at that now in the new year. Number 2 is our social media boot camp. Okay. So this happens every year inside of our membership group. It is the foundational pieces of successful social media for schools. And it's a 4-week program that you have a 25 item checklist that you go through, and you're guided with training and Q&A sessions to really help set up the system of being able to positively tell your story via social media. We especially focus on Facebook because that is the biggest channel that most of our schools use when it comes to social media storytelling. We do a lot of training in the group beyond that, but this one is mainly Facebook. But it's so great. And it's just a reminder that, if you've been in social media for 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, or 20 years, there's something inside this group for you. And so if you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't jump in, there's a lot of resources there. This is where you start. You start at the social media boot camp. It happened in October of 2024, so pretty recently, but it's recorded. And so it's available until we do it live the next year. And then the new session would be available. So that's the second thing. Third, the top trainings, and we have had a lot. Okay. So I'm not downgrading any trainings that anybody did because there's so many great ones. But every summer we actually do a work session with a content calendar. We look ahead at the end of June, beginning of July, we start looking at what is going to happen next school year, and we start putting a plan together. And we have a variety of tools that are provided to you, templates, okay, spreadsheets that you can then customize to your school to help you get a handle on social media before the new year even starts. This is really valuable for our members. And I just really want to invite you in because that again is probably worth the price of admission. But so content calendar, great session there. Number 4 for top trainings, we did a Canva camp this year. It was so fun, 4 days in a row. It was a peer-led training from members within our group. Each day they kind of shared some of their best tips, tricks, strategies with Canva, and then we recorded them. Okay, so that's our favorite design tool. I'm not sure if it's yours. But Canva Camp happened. It will definitely happen again next year. But it's available on record to you if you jump in there right now. So again, if you're a member, you didn't know we had Canva Camp, we had Canva Camp. Okay. So you can check that out. And then finally, I just want to share our Instagram challenge. Okay. If you are looking to take Instagram to the next level, our membership group is the place to be. And in February of 2025, so not very far away, we are doing our next Instagram challenge. And what it is it's a 2-week concentrated challenge where you're going to get a series of things to do on your Instagram page, try them out, push your storytelling, do things that maybe you normally wouldn't do. But we're going to see if we can take massive action and see massive results with our reach. And so that happened last spring, and that's available now. And then the next one is going to be happening this February. And so I just want to urge you, if you're in the membership group, make sure you participate. It's going to be February 3rd through the 14th. Nothing special needed. You're already in the group, so you're there. If you're not in the group, check out socialschoolforedu.com. Click on the join now, check out the information on the membership and ask. Okay. You got to ask for the funds. It is when you think of one student attracted or retained in your school district, how much money they're worth. This is a very minimal investment. So want to invite you in. Those were my top 5 trainings, but there's lots more. Okay. And then I want to end with 4 of my favorite blogs that you should check out if you didn't already. Okay. So 4 blogs. And again, these blogs are available to everybody. Okay. So the first one is why marketing and communications are more important than ever for K-12 schools. Okay, guys, your role is so important with school choice, declining birth rates, and so much more impacting schools. It's really important to realize how important your role is in marketing and communications for your school district. So, some people are just like, is it even worth it? Like, I don't know. It is. We actually just recently shared another one on the ROI, the return on investment of social media. So you can check that one out too. But one of the top blogs, and again, these are all, the trainings are not linked, okay? The trainings are only available for members, but all the podcast episodes and then all of these blogs are in the show notes today. So if you are like, oh, what'd she say? And you can't find it, just go to the show notes. It'll have a link to all of these resources so that you can grab them, okay? The second blog is, are you making one of these 10 social media mistakes? Okay. So I look at social media pages all the time. I see things that are really good and you guys are doing awesome. And then I see things that aren't maybe best practice or maybe a little bit of a mistake. I'm not perfect. Okay. I do social media. I'm definitely not perfect. But I just want to say on that list, mistake 6 really has to do with accessibility. And I know many of you are broaching this subject with your website, with your social media content, with concerns of the new regulations that'll be going into effect, I believe, in 2026, possibly earlier for some schools, some states. So just check out not only mistake number 6, but all of them and see if you can check off and say, hey, I'm pretty good. I'm not making these mistakes. Okay. Number 3, meet the 2024 MVPs of school social media. You guys, every year we do our best of social media awards. They're called the Golden Gribbles. And you could win this year. We'll be announcing that this spring, and we announce those in May. But we always do a recap of all the winners. And I really want to encourage you to take a look at our 2024 winners for some divine inspiration. Okay, from short videos to longer videos to just powerful stories that show the impact that social media can make. That's a really good blog to take a look at. And number 4 for the blogs, that the final blog that I'd love you to take a look at is one I just released. I actually wrote this for Niche, my friends over at niche.com. 8 high impact social media posts from schools and how to use them. It's really powerful to know what are some of the most engaging ways, because we know that when there's more engagement, there's more reach. Okay. And so this is 8 different high impact posts and then how to use them at your school. So it really breaks it down for you. So that's the final blog that I'd love for you to take a look at. So guys, it's been a great year. We're going to tell great stories in 2025. I'm sticking by you. I will be here and we will be sharing more great guests, great resources, topics, things to really inspire you and encourage you along the way. I hope that you are on our newsletter list. Again, we're going to be sending out our survey in January, so we want you to respond to that. We had over 500 different responses last year. I'd love to get to 1,000 because the more data we have, the better, right? It's not going to take too long. Probably 10 minutes to submit that survey. But if you're on our newsletter list, you will get that survey. Guys, I'm going to just sign off. Like, have a great break. Let's meet back together. We'll be back here next week before the turn of the calendar for our next episode, 247. I can't believe this is episode 246. We've been together for a while. And if you have never left me a review, will you please take the time to leave a review? It really helps our podcast reach more people. So with that, keep telling those stories, you guys. Bye-bye.